Good evening, students. I hope you are all safe at home. Last class I've taken on episiotomy. Good, I got one question on episiotomy. The question which was asked to me was whether we have to give a local anesthesia while giving an episiotomy. Yes, we have to give an local anesthesia using a injection xylocaine 1%. You have to give an anesthesia and then give a cut or an episiotomy, and still if the patient feels the pain during the time of repair, you can still repeat with the injection xylocaine, which will make the area numb so that you can repair the episiotomy easily. So today I'll be taking class on forceps delivery. So hope you will enjoy this class. Working for success will make you a master, but working for satisfaction will make you a legend. It's really a wonderful quote. Good morning, friends. Good morning, students. Today we'll be dealing a class on forceps delivery. So the forceps delivery, it is a type of an instrumental delivery. So this forceps, it can be used in alternate with the venous delivery. The venous delivery is a vacuum delivery. So the forceps delivery or vacuum delivery. But today we will be seeing about the forceps delivery. It was been used since decades. Initially you can see this type of forceps were made up of wooden, and you can see such type of forceps still in the certain museums. So today we will be dealing with the forceps delivery. First of all, we will see the meaning of forceps delivery. So you can see on the screen the image, you can see the forceps, how it looks like. So it has got two blades, and really it looks like a very big instrument which is used to deliver or to extract the baby. So if you are going to see the meaning, I hope all of you have seen this forceps in the OBG lab. Also in hospital setting, only some obstetricians use this forceps, because nowadays most of the obstetrician go for the vacuum delivery, which is also called as a venous delivery, as we are getting a disposable vacuum cups. So anyway, so as a meaning for forceps is, obstetric forceps is a pair of instruments specially designed to assist the extraction of the head and thereby accomplishing delivery of the fetus. So you are holding this forceps, it can be applied only to the head of the fetus. So you are using this to extract the head of the fetus and deliver the baby. Next we will see the varieties of obstetric forceps. So the varieties, it is said that there are three varieties. One is long curved forceps, the second one is short curved forceps, and the third one is Kielland forceps. So these three types of forceps are there. In long curved forceps, you can see that this type of forceps will come with access traction device or without access traction device. So there are two types in long curved forceps, with or without access traction device. And it said that the Peter I and the Peter II of Camberlin family invented the forceps around AD 1600. So we can see that in all types of forceps have a same concept, that is they have two blades and they have a articulated, and these two blades are articulated by the lock. First we will see about the long curved obstetric forceps. I already said you that long curved obstetric forceps will come with the axis or without an axis. So in long curved obstetric forceps, the features are, it is a heavy instrument and the measurement is, its length is 37 centimeter and the distance between the tips of the blade is 2.5 centimeter and the widest diameter between the blade is 9 centimeter. Next we will see about the blade. So I have said you that it consists of, the forceps consist of two blades in relation to the maternal pelvis, that is said as a right blade and the left blade. It is in relation to the maternal pelvis when we apply. So once you apply into the pelvic cavity, if the blade stays on the right side, then it is considered as a right blade, and on the left side of the maternal pelvis it is considered as a left blade. And as description, each blade has got a blade, it has got a shank, it has got a lock and a handle with or without screw. So, most of the nowadays we get the forceps which doesn't have a usually doesn't have a screw, but it has got a very good lock and you have a handle at the base. First we will see about the blades. The blades are fenestrated to facilitate a good grip of the fetal head. You can see a big hole in the middle of the forceps of each blade, that is called as it has got a good fenestrated. A fenestration is, it is like a window. So, it has the blade are fenestrated to facilitate a good grip of the fetal head. And you can also see there is a slot. It is not for all the forceps. If the forceps has to be attached with the axis traction rod to be fitted, then you can see that there is a slot on the lower part of the blade to allow the upper end of the axis traction rod to be fitted. In order to fit the axis traction, you have in some of the forceps it has got a slot on the lower part of the blade, as you can see in the image. And next we will see what are the curves which are there on the forceps blade. So, it has got a two curve, one is a pelvic curve and the second one is a cephalic curve. Pelvic curve you can see there, which fits into the pelvic cavity. The curve on the edge, on the one side or the edge, is to fit more or less the curve on the axis of the birth canal, is called as a pelvic curve, and the cephalic curve is the inner part. So, you can see the cephalic curve, it is the curve on the flat surface which when articulated grabs the fetal head without compression. So, it will hold the fetal head without compressing the fetal head. You can see that the pelvic curvature is not so curved, it is little bit flat like, whereas on the fetal cephalic curve you can see that it is curved, it's like curved surface. So, you can see in order to hold the fetal head. Next is the shank. It is the part between the blade and the lock. You can see in the image the shank where it lies, it is in between the blade and the lock. You can see a lock down there and the blade on the upper part, and you can see in between there is a shank. So, why you need this shank? It increases the length of the instrument and thereby facilitate locking of the blade outside the vulva. So, in some forceps you can see a long forceps you can see a long shank, whereas in a short forceps you can see a short shank. So, it helps to lengthen the instruments. Next is the lock. So, for all the instrument you have a lock. The common method of articulation consists of a socket system. It is just like a socket where you apply both the blades and just you fix it in a form of a socket system. I hope you all have seen in the lab how you can fix the forceps. So, it is located at the shank at its junction with the handle. So, you can see in the image how you can on the both the forceps how they are going to fix with the type of a socket system, how it gets fixed with both the blades, the right and the left blade. Finally, the handle. The handle are opposed when the blades are articulated. So, once you insert the right blade and the left blade, you have to first insert the left blade and then the right blade, and then you lock it down, and then you can see that the handles will oppose. That is, if it is the handle of the right blade you can find it on the left side. So, that is the way how the socket system is and how it get fixed. And at the end of the handle you can see there is a finger guard on which a finger can be placed during the traction in order to have a grip. So, it does not mean that all the forceps has a finger guard, but in some forceps you can see there is a finger guard in which you can have a good grip of the handle. Last one is a screw. You can see on the image a screw. Even a screw, it is not for all the forceps, you may not find this screw. So, anyway, it also consists as a part the screw. A screw may be attached usually at the end of one blade, which helps to keep the blade in position. So once you apply the blade, you can lock it and you can apply this screw so that it will keep the blade in position, so it will not get moved away or dislodged. The next one is, as I have said you, axis traction device. So the axis traction device, it's seen in a long curve forceps. So it can be applied with advantage in a mid forceps operation. So if you are applying a mid forceps operation, in that case you can use this axis traction device, especially following the manual rotation of the head. So sometimes the forceps is applied, so you have to rotate the head and then extract the baby. So following the manual rotation of the head, you can use this axis traction device. It provides traction in the correct axis of the pelvic curve, and as such less force is necessary to deliver the baby. So you can use this. So this axis traction device, it consists, you can see in the image, the traction rod and the traction handle. So you can have a very good traction in order to extract the baby. Next one is the short curve obstetric forceps. Here in short curve, you can see the instrument is lighter compared to the long curve forceps, and about a third of the weight of an ordinary long curve forceps. The instrument is short, which is due to the reduction in the length of the shank and the handle. You can see the length of the shank is reduced and as well as the length of the handle is reduced. It has a marked cephalic curve with a slight pelvic curve. So that is the feature of the short curved obstetric forceps. And the last one is the Keyland forceps. You can see in the image, it is a long straight obstetric forceps with a slight pelvic curve without any axis traction device. In long curve forceps, you can, it is with or without axis traction device, whereas in Keyland forceps it does not have any axis uterine contraction as well as the fetal heart sounds. And the next fetal indication is if there is a cord prolapse. But we have said that cord prolapse is one of the obstetrical emergency. If you find that there is a cord prolapse and the fetal condition is deteriorating, it is an emergency cesarean section. But if the obstetrician is capable and if she feels that by applying a forceps she can deliver the baby safely, then she can have an indication for applying a forceps. After coming head of the breech, in case of breech delivery, once the legs and the body is delivered, finally in order to deliver the head, you can make use of the forceps. And also the forceps can be applied for the low birth weight baby also, and also even for the post maturity. So these are the certain indication in the fetal, that's the fetal indication. And finally the maternal indication, that is in that maternal distress, if the mother is exhausted and if she is not pushing the baby, then you have to you can have an indication of applying a forceps. In case of preeclampsia, the forceps can be applied. Post cesarean pregnancy, that is VBAC, that is vaginal birth after cesarean section. If the lady wants to have a vaginal birth and her previous birth was through cesarean section, here also you can apply the forceps. And in case of heart disease, so these are the various indications where you can apply the forceps. Next, we will see the condition to be fulfilled prior to the forceps operation. So what are the conditions which has to be fulfilled before you apply the forceps? That is suitable presentation and position, that it should be the vertex presentation, or in case of anterior face or after coming head, that is in breech presentation. And the second thing, the cervix must be fully dilated and it should be effaced when you are applying the forceps, and the membrane should be ruptured. It is not intact, either it should be ruptured or you have to do an artificial rupture of membrane. The head must be engaged with no parts of the head palpable abdominally. Before applying the forceps, you should be sure that the no part of the head should be palpable abdominally. There should not be undue obstruction. The baby, there should not be any obstruction. The baby should be living. The uterus should be preferably contracting and relaxing, and make sure the bladder is emptied. You can just put the in and out catheter, that is an Allerton catheter, empty the bladder, and then the forceps should be applied. And the rate of success of the operation. the success of the operation depends on the meticulous observation, that is your keen observation on the patient, that is in the labor room, by monitoring frequently, as well as maintaining the partogram where you can see the progress of the labor. So, you should have a meticulous observation, and you have to see the indication for applying the forceps and the time when you apply the forceps. So, this all stands for the success of the forceps operation. And also the success depends upon the maternal and the fetal health status or the condition of the fetus, and obviously the competence of the obstetrician, that is how she or he is well good enough to apply the forceps and deliver the baby. And the final thing is the amenities available. The amenities available means the facility available where the lady is going to deliver, whether it is the primary health center or it's a tertiary hospital. So, what are the amenities available? Depending on that, there is a success rate of operation, the standard of working. Okay, that's about the thing. And next we'll see the types of forceps operation. There are 3 types of forceps operation. So, it is classified according to the station of the fetal head. So, in Bishop's score we have already studied about the station of the fetal head. So, application of the forceps mainly depends on the where the fetal head stays or the station of the fetal head. In that, first one is a high forceps operation. So, you are applying the forceps very high, that is called as a high forceps operation, but the thing is it is abandoned nowadays. So, just to know what is the high forceps operation, that is application of the forceps on the fetal head where the biparietal diameter, you know the biparietal diameter of the fetal skull, right. So, on the fetal head where the biparietal diameter has not yet passed the plane of the pelvic inlet, and but I have already said you it has been abandoned. Next one is a mid forceps operation, that is the application of the forceps where the biparietal diameter has passed the plane of the inlet but has not passed the level of the ischial spine. When we do a vaginal examination to find the station of the head, if the head is at the ischial spine, then it is at the station 0. So, application of the forceps where the biparietal diameter has passed the plane of the inlet but has not passed the ischial spine. There are 2 types in this, the sub varieties, that is high mid and low mid. In high mid operation, that is a biparietal diameter has passed the plane of the inlet but remains above the level of the ischial spine. In low mid, the biparietal diameter has passed the plane of the inlet and lies at the level of the ischial spine. If it is above the level of ischial spine, then it is high mid, and if it is at the level of the ischial spine, then it is low mid. That is about the mid forceps. The third one is a low forceps operation. Application of the forceps where the biparietal diameter has passed the level of the ischial spine. So, once it has passed the level of ischial spine, at the level of ischial spine it is station 0. So, once it has passed that level, then you can apply the forceps, and that is called as a low forceps operation, which is also an outlet forceps. It is a variety of a low forceps operation where the forceps is applied on the fetal head lying on the perineum, and the head is already visible in the introitus in between the contraction, and you can apply the outlet forceps. Next, we will see the steps of low forceps operation. So, in steps, how you are going to apply the forceps? First, we have to identify the blades, identification of the blades and their application. So, you have to identify the blades. I have said you the blade which goes into the right side of the maternal pelvis, then it is called as a right blade, and the left side is called as a left blade. So, when you want to apply the forceps, it has to be first lubricated with a gel, and then first you have to apply the left forceps. So, you have to the 2 fingers has to guard the vagina when you apply the forceps. First you will apply the left forceps and then the right forceps, and see that you lock it out, and then once the head is delivered, and also once you lock, you see that a tip of the finger is just you can insert into the fenestrated part of the blades. Then you have to lock it, and then you have to apply a traction so to deliver the baby. And once the head is delivered, you can remove the blades. While removing the blades, first you have to remove the right blade and then you have to remove the left blade. Outlet forceps operation, that is Wrigley's forceps, are used exclusively, that is the name is Wrigley's forceps. Like there are various names of forceps. The mid forceps operation usually widely used is a Kielland's forceps. Finally, we will see the dangers of forceps operation. So, what are the dangers of forceps operation? There are as we have seen, for all the operations, for everything you have a certain dangers or complications which will be accompanied with the procedure. So, we will see certain dangers which may happen or may not happen in case of forceps operation. So, the first one is maternal. So, in maternal we have a immediate complication as well as a remote complication. In immediate complication, that is injury, there is the extension of episiotomy externally even to involve the rectum or its upward extension up to the vault of vagina, because you are inserting an instrument and it is an instrumental delivery. So, there is a chance of extension of the episiotomy as well as there may be injury, there may be vaginal laceration. There are chances also having a cervical tear when applied through an incompletely dilated cervix. So, once after delivery you have to properly visualize all the parts. The cervical, the cervix has to be examined either using a Briske's speculum. You have to completely examine the cervix and the vagina to see any tear is there. And the second complication is postpartum hemorrhage. In that there may be trauma. Because of trauma there may be severe hemorrhage, atonic uterus due to prolonged labor or the effect of anesthesia. Next one is shock. Shock may be due to the blood loss or prolonged labor and dehydration. Next one is sepsis, that is improper asepsis and devitalization of the local tissue. Finally, the anesthetic hazards. The remote complication. In remote complication, because of the application of forceps, the patient or the lady who has gone a forceps delivery can have a chronic low backache due to the tension imposed on the softened ligaments guarding the lumbosacral or sacroiliac joint during the lithotomy position. And also you can see there may be a genital prolapse or stress incontinence. This may occur especially when the head is dragged down through incompletely dilated cervix or unrotated position or due to faulty repair of the perineal laceration. So, this incontinence, stress incontinence is, that is when you sneeze or when you cough, there will be a dribbling of urine. But make sure that when you give a health education in the postnatal ward or the postpartum ward, you have to stress on this point of giving a Kegels exercise, which is very helpful for the lady in order to avoid this stress incontinence during her later days. Then the fetal complications. In fetal complication, there are immediate complication and the remote complication. In immediate complication, there may be a chance of asphyxia due to the intracranial stress because of the prolonged compression, intracranial hemorrhage due to the malapplication of the blades. So, you should be very careful when applying the blades, which you should avoid the injury to the fetal skull, as well as there may be a chance of cephalohematoma. Facial palsy can be seen, abrasion on the soft tissue of the face and forehead by the forceps blade. This you can usually see in a baby who had been delivered through a forceps delivery. You can see an abrasion. The blades marks can be seen on the face of the neonates or the newborn. And finally, the remote complication, there may be chances of in the later days having a cerebral and spastic palsy due to the residual cerebral injury. So, these are the complications or the dangers which you can see in the forceps delivery. So, today we have seen about the forceps delivery, the meaning of the forceps delivery, the varieties of the forceps which is available, and the indications of the forceps delivery, and the operation of the forceps, and finally the dangers of forceps delivery. Hope you have understood this. Thank you.